everybody, this is Kathlyn Hinesley with Exploring Dimensions for All, and today I'm going to be reading from my book, Welcome to Infinity, Exploring Ancient and Modern Techniques for Collaborating with Otherworldly Beings, and this is the second half of Chapter 9. If you didn't see the first half, just go back and look at that one before you view this one. Okay, here we go. There is ample evidence to suggest that both the Egyptian pyramids at Giza and the Mexican pyramids at Teotihuacan were built to assist deceased kings in becoming gods. In Fingerprints of the Gods, Graham Hancock notes that, quote, the archaic hieroglyphs of the pyramid texts, 3 ellipsis dots, left little room for doubt that the ultimate object of the rituals carried out within those colossal structures, parentheses, the pyramids at Giza, in parentheses, was to bring about the deceased pharaoh's transfiguration, 3 ellipsis dots, end quote, footnote 11. Hancock, Fingerprints, page 168. Legends concerning the Teotihuacan pyramids in Mexico claimed that Teotihuacan, or the city of the gods, got its name because it was believed that those buried there became gods. And this is footnote 12. Bernardino de Sahagún, cited in Mysteries of the Mexican Pyramids by Peter Tompkins, London, Thames and Hudson, 1987, page 23. Modern researchers have suggested that certain ancient temples and religious sites may have been built to help visitors achieve specific mental and or spiritual states. In The Sign of the Serpent, author Mark Balfour explains that, quote, the temple is a structure specifically designed to house an icon, as well as the mental images that are sought to be evoked in its presence. The geometry of a temple's construction relates to the human body and incorporates the principles of man's relationship to the universe, thus forming a bridge, a living connection between the cosmic forces and the terrestrial. End quote, footnote 13. And that's Mark Balfour, The Sign of the Serpent, The Key to Creative Physics, Dorset Prism Press, Lindfield Unity Press, distributed in the U.S. by Avery Publishing Group, 1990, page 73. Could specific building calculations have helped ancient peoples to contact beings living in other dimensions or energetic states? While some calculations incorporated into ancient building sites appear to have had a clear scientific purpose, the reason for others remains a mystery. The design at Stonehenge in England, for example, suggests that the structure may have once been used to predict solar and lunar eclipses. Footnote 14. Fix, Pyramid Odyssey, page 152. Builders of the Great Pyramid in Egypt appear to have intentionally incorporated geographic information in their calculations. Fix notes, for example, that the Great Pyramid's perimeter is the same as half a minute of equatorial latitude. Footnote 15. IBID, page 24. Important mathematical relationships incorporated in some ancient structures suggest that our ancestors' knowledge base may have been a good deal broader than our own. Hancock notes that both the Great Pyramid in Egypt and the Pyramid of the Sun at Teotihuacan in Mexico, quote, incorporate pi relationships, end quote. Footnote 16. Hancock, Fingerprints, page 178. In their dimensions. So the whole sentence is, Hancock notes that both the Great Pyramid in Egypt and the Pyramid of the Sun at Teotihuacan in Mexico, quote, incorporate pi relationships, end quote, and then footnote 16, which I already read, in their dimensions. And Peter Tompkins, in Secrets of the Great Pyramid, explains that, quote, the pyramid was designed to incorporate not only the pi proportion, but another, even more useful proportion, known in the Renaissance as the golden section. comma, 3 ellipsis dots, or 1.618, 3 ellipsis dots, end quote, footnote 17. There's a little bit of noise outside. There's a dog barking. I hope it's not bothering you too much. Okay, footnote 17. Peter Tompkins, Secrets of the Great Pyramid, New York, Harper and Row Publishers, 1971, page 190. Describing Plato's thoughts on the golden section, Tompkins explains that Plato regarded it and the equation used to obtain the proportion as, quote, the most binding of all mathematical relations, and, 3 ellipsis dots, the key to the physics of the cosmos, end quote, footnote 18, IBID page 191. Were calculations used in the construction of the Great Pyramid in Egypt merely meant to preserve geographic and mathematical information, or could they have served another function? What appears to have resulted from some of these building calculations is even more mysterious. Study of pyramid-shaped objects, for example, has revealed their ability to keep food fresh and razor blades sharp, suggesting that special energetic properties exist within their walls. And that is footnote 19, IBID, pages 277 to 78. Could our ancestors have known more about science and the manipulation of energy than we do? Have we only just begun to scratch the surface of what the human race once knew? Given what I just experienced, I began to wonder if perhaps, just maybe, the ancients may have known a little something about traveling through other dimensions, and how such a thing could be accomplished, given, of course, the right mathematical, geographic, and astronomical mix. There's a great deal that we still don't know about our ancestors. For example, we don't know just how many of the ancient sites left to us were built, especially by peoples unacquainted with motorized vehicles. Not only were the stones used to build many ancient sites extraordinarily heavy, some appear to have been transported numerous miles from where they were eventually used. The ancient Olmecs of southern Mexico, for example, created 600 stone columns, each 10 feet high and 2 tons in weight, from basalt that appears to have been obtained over 60 miles from where the completed columns were found. And that's footnote 20, Hancock Fingerprints, page 132. The Great Pyramid is composed of approximately 6 million tons of stones, some of which weigh up to 70 tons. Footnote 21, Fix Pyramid Odyssey, page 12. Fix believes that the construction of the Great Pyramid suggests, quote, almost unbelievable engineering skill, end quote, footnote 22. And that is IBID, page 14. He points to the work of archaeologist Flinders Petrie, who found that the faces of many stones were cut with great mathematical precision. Footnote 23, IBID, page 16. Legends passed down over the centuries do in fact suggest that our ancestors may have been privy to extraordinary knowledge that we no longer possess. According to one legend, the priests of Heliopolis in Babylon were once capable of levitating heavy stones. Footnote 24, IBID, pages 48 to 49. A Spanish visitor to the Teotihuacan pyramid site in Bolivia, quote, recorded a tradition which said that the stones had been lifted miraculously off the ground, comma, 4 ellipsis dots, end quote, footnote 25. Hancock Fingerprints, page 72. The visitor indicated that the stones had been moved through the use of sound. Footnote 26, IBID. The utilization of sound energy comes up in another legend. A tale regarding Maya construction efforts relates that heavy rocks were simply lifted by whistling. Footnote 27, IBID, page 152. Information now coming to light indicates that the ancients may have been far more advanced than we previously imagined. We know, for example, that the Mayans had an extremely accurate understanding of the Earth's movement around the sun, while, quote, the Gregorian calendar, incorporates a very small plus error, just 0.0003 of a day, The Mayan calendar, calculated the solar year at 365.2420 days, a minus error of only 0.0002 of a day. Close quote. Footnote 28, IBID, page 159. Why, I wonder, do we tend to accept scientific knowledge possessed by the ancients without question and label spiritual and mythological writings left to us on the stone walls of temple chambers and in ancient records such as the Mayan Papavu and the Egyptian pyramid texts as mere fantasy? Why do we arbitrarily stigmatize evidence of religious culture with terms that strip away any sense of reality or inherent reason associated with ancient cosmological views? Perhaps, just maybe, these primitives, whose scientific knowledge we've only begun to develop a respect for, possessed a greater understanding of the metaphysical workings of the cosmos than we do. Given the engineering difficulties our ancestors must have faced, it is likely that unusual methods were employed to build many ancient structures. Perhaps the Egyptians and Babylonians understood principles of levitation that have since been lost to us. Our ancestors in the Americas may have had the corner on sound. If sound can now be used to produce a picture of an unborn baby with sonogram technology, who's to say it wasn't once used to lift and carry stones for temples? Ancient legends and records clearly indicate the purpose for which these extraordinary engineering feats were accomplished. A legend concerning structures at Teotihuacan, for example, quote, asserted that their purpose had been to transform men into gods, end quote. Footnote 29, IBID, page 170. If other realms really do exist side by side with this one, might not the ancients have had knowledge of these realms as well? As noted previously, there are alarming similarities between the Egyptian and Mayan views of the afterlife, which compare nicely in some instances with information found in the Tibetan Book of the Dead. Various theories have been advanced to explain similarities in scientific knowledge and religious beliefs held by ancient cultures that were separated geographically from one another. Some scholars suggest that ancient peoples traveled all over the earth long before Columbus, quotation marks, discovered, end quote, America. Therefore had an opportunity to share myths and legends with one another. Other scholars point to evidence which suggests that aliens from other star systems once lived alongside the human family, leaving our ancestors with a common knowledge base. However the ancients acquired their scientific knowledge, it was clearly remarkable in scope. Given the accuracy of the mathematical and scientific calculations made by our ancestors, I believe it would behoove us to take another look at the knowledge of our ancestors believed they possessed, which we currently label as myth and legend. Could the ancients have known more about the total universe than we do? Might they have understood complex mathematical relationships that govern the existence of particular beings and dimensional states? The writings and oral legends passed down from ancient times clearly indicate that communion with spiritual forces was first and foremost in the minds of those who built many of the temples and pyramids we find on earth today. Could temples and pyramids have been constructed in such a way as to literally put people in touch with spiritual or godlike forces? Could they have understood through some science now long forgotten the mathematical and scientific keys needed to open portals to dimensions beyond this one, where spirits do in fact exist? In future chapters, I will argue that the ancients may have possessed just such a science with tools we can use today to enrich our lives and expand our understanding of and collaboration with the total cosmos. That's the end of chapter 9. Thank you so much for listening and have a wonderful day.